start, I want to disconnect the battery. So get to the battery in the back, just use a 10mm socket, remove the negative cable, loosen it up, just slide it off and out of the way. Make sure it doesn't arc out on there. There's some trim pieces we need to take off first. I'm going to use a trim tool, this little airbag trim piece right here. This one's broken, but it's clipped in on the back. Just use a trim tool, take that off. This little cover right here needs to be taken off. Use that same trim tool, just pry underneath, pry out. There's two little retainers that hold it in. I want to take this piece of trim off. I'm just going to use some trim tools from the front side. Just try to get underneath it. You can use a couple different ones. There we go. All right. And it's clipped in right here. Those are the clips right there. Now I'm going to take the screws out of here. I'm going to use a T30 driver. I'm going to just take a magnet. Take the screws out. There's a screw right here. Use the same T30. Use the magnet. And there should be another screw in here. Take that one out as well. Now there's push pins holding the door panel on. Use a trim tool, get underneath here and just pry it out. Some of these are already released. Just pop them off. And then it's going to be clipped in on the top. You're just going to have to pull it outward and just be careful of the lock rod right there. And just slide this out. I'm going to disconnect the airbag first. I'll just use a straight blade screwdriver, unlock this little lock, and slide it out. And just pry in between there. Then the wire is held in right here. Just use a trim tool. Remove that wire from that bracket. Try not to break it. Disconnect this door handle cable. There's a little tab on the inside here. Just use a straight blade screwdriver. Slide that tab up and just slides out just like that. That's the little tab right there. Just be careful not to break that. And disconnect the window electrical connector. Just grab the terminal, slide it out, the connector, and the speaker. Disconnect the speaker connector. Now I want to take this vapor barrier off. This one's coming off pretty easily because it's been off before. Just have the wires come through. I'm going to have to disconnect this wire right here. Push down this tab. Disconnect that connector. And pull that retainer off there. And slide the wires through here. And if you need to, while you're taking the vapor barrier off, just use a utility knife. You can cut some of this. Makes it taking it off a little bit easier. You might have to replace some of the butyl tape if it doesn't stick when you put it back, but sometimes it sticks back to itself. I'm not going to remove this completely. You can if you want to, but just fold it out of your way. Disconnect the electrical connector for the window motor. Just push on the tab right here on the back. And slide the connector up. There's the little tab. And just pry this retainer off. Just use a trim tool, try not to break it. And we want to take these screws out. I'm going to use a T25. So if your window is in the up position, before you take this motor off, you're going to want to tape the glass to the door. Our window is down, so I don't have to worry about that. Just take this last screw out. And just slide the window motor out carefully, just like that. Now I'm going to grab the window and just slide it up. Just make sure this little spool doesn't come out. You could take a back of a screwdriver and just hold it in that position. I just want to bring this window to this position so I can access these little lock tabs right there. You can take a screwdriver, just carefully try to push. Might need a smaller screwdriver. Unlatch the window. Right there. Do the same on this side. Slide that out, and then you can just try to push the glass out, just like that. But be careful, the glass could slide down. So it might be helpful if you have a helper holding the glass for you. I'm going to push the glass all the way up. And then I'm just going to tape the window up. I'm going to use a 10mm socket. Take these nuts out here, and then there's 3 on this side. You can grab the window regulator and just try to slide it out. For this top one, you might have to slide the bar to the side a little bit just to get that stud out. And you can slide it right out. I want to take this cable off. This goes to the inside door handle. Just slide it like that and twist it. Now the inside cable, this attaches to the outside door handle. At the top part right here, just try to slide this out. If you have to use a pick or a screwdriver, just get behind here, pop it out, just like that. And then same on the bottom. Bottom pops out. Just set that aside. Now I'm going to take these 3 screws out. I'm going to use a T30. Now I'm just going to support the latch and take this last screw out. So pay attention to this lock cylinder rod that goes into the latch. Now this is going to twist down, and then you can slide it off the latch itself. Now when you go to put it back on, you're going to have to install it the same way you took that off. And we'll just slide this lock rod out this way. Just try to slide it through that hole there. Just being careful not to bend it. And slide the latch out. Before we put the latch in, take the old screws. These are self-tapping screws. The threads are a little bit, they're tapered at the beginning of the screw. So get those started before we install it in the vehicle. I'm just gonna get these started. And once you get that all the way in, then you can take these out. And just do that to the other 2. Now we want to take this latch and install it. Remember, we want to have the lock cylinder rod go through there when we go to install it. So just slide this in position. Just get that to line up right there. That looks good. It's lined up right there, and get all the screws started. And then I'll tighten these screws down. Snug those all down. All right, we need to take this lock rod off the old one. What we could have done originally before we took the latch out. We could have taken this lock rod off. It probably would have been a little bit easier. So just take a pick, just get underneath here, and just pry up like that. And just slide this in the new one, slide it in position. And lock it in place, just like that. So that's good. Take this cable, slide this in position right here. That goes to the outside door handle. And slide that down. And just double check to make sure that works. And that works. The way that cable is routed goes behind this lock rod, or the lock cylinder rod, and this little retainer holds it in. Take this inboard inside cable and slide this in position right there. And we'll slide this in position. Try to get this back stud on first. That looks good. I'll just put a nut on here. Just gonna leave it loose, just get them started. And slide this side in. Try to get the top stud on first. You want to make sure you're in front of the glass, like you're on this side of the glass, in between you and the glass. Get that stud in and get those started. Now go tighten these up. Now I'm going to torque these nuts to 84 inch-pounds. Make sure you're on inch-pounds and not foot-pounds. Now I want to hold this wheel right here because I don't want it to fall out. And then I'm going to use some side cutters and just cut this wire tie off. It's just to hold it on there. That's good. You can take the window motor, just line this up. And push it in position. Might have to rotate it back and forth a little bit. With that position, get the screws started. Just tighten these down. Just make sure it's even. Make sure it gets tightened down evenly. Now I'm just going to tighten these screws to 36 inch-pounds. Make sure you're on inch-pounds. Push the retainer right there, the wire retainer, and you can plug it back in. Now just take the tape off the window carefully. And when you get to the clips, you want to make sure the window goes in on the right position. The clip. There we go. It's lined up. Make sure it locks in place. Right there and right there. That looks good. And we're just gonna slide the wires through this vapor barrier. And resecure the vapor barrier. Now we'll just take the door panel, take the connector, plug the speaker in, right there. Plug the window switch in. And plug this connector into the door latch right there. And then resecure that right there. Take this cable, we're gonna reattach that up here. Just slide that in position, just like that. Lock it in place, that's good. And that's gonna get secured right there as well. Line the connector up for the airbag. You wanna push on the outside part of the connector first. And then once it's locked down, push down on the lock. Line up the lock rod first. To there. That's lined up. Should be able to line these up top. Get that close. And then push the door panel. Line up all the clips. And then push it on. Put the screws back in here, down here, and here, and here. Take this cover, slide that cover in position. This one is broken. And then take this cover, slide that in place. Take this trim, slide this back in position. Now we're gonna reconnect the negative battery cable and tighten up the nut. Just make sure you wiggle it, make sure it's tight.